In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make a key fob or keychain wristlet. Now they're really quick and easy to make, and I know I always say that, but they really are. You can make them any size you'd like, and I think they'd make perfect gifts. So let me show you exactly how to make one. So you can make your keychains any size you'd like. I've got a whole sample here of different sizes that I made, and basically whatever length you'd like it to be, we need to double that. So for example, this one's measuring 5 inches long, but I started off with a piece of fabric that was 10 inches long. So today I'll be making one this size. So this one measures 7 inches long, so I need to start off with a piece of fabric that is 14 inches long. And you can make these any size you'd like. Some people even make them long enough to go around your neck, but for me this is just the perfect size to go around my wrist and hold my keys. And I also like it that it's a little bit bigger, so it's going to be easy to find. No more losing those keys. So now we know how long we want it, and I've made mine 14.5 inches, so I've got a little bit of wiggle room, but we need to work out how wide we want it. So find out how wide your key fob hardware is. Mine is 1 inch wide, which means I need to cut my fabric at 2 inches wide, so double whatever the width is. So for this fabric, mine is 4.5 inches wide, so I can get two 2-inch wide pieces. Now if you'd like to have a different fabric for your lining and your backing, you could do that. You'd cut 2 pieces at 2 inches wide and however long you needed it. So just to clarify, my piece right now is 14.5 inches by 4.5 inches wide. I've made sure it's pressed and I don't have any threads or anything lying on it, because now I'm going to take my Palon Shape Flex SF101, and that's just my preferred single-sided iron-on interfacing. You can use whatever interfacing you've got just to help give our keychain a little bit more body. And then I'm going to press that. I'm just going to smooth it out. Make sure that that side that's got the glue on it, it feels a bit rough, is facing down on the wrong side of our fabric, and give it a press. Okay, now we'll cut our 2 strips. Now I'm going to cut it into two 2-inch by 14-inch pieces. So I'll just start by getting a nice straight edge down the bottom here. Again, getting a nice straight edge on this side. Bearing in mind I cut it a little bit bigger, so I know I've got a bit of wiggle room. Then I'm just going to cut my 2-inch strips. So now what I'm going to do is take my ruler, and I'm just going to rule a 1-inch line in from the edge. So I'm lining up a 1-inch line mark on my ruler against the edge, and I'll draw a line just like that, and I'll do the same for the second piece. Now we're going to press. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this edge up to meet that line, and then I will give it a finger press. And then we're going to press. And then I'll turn it around and I'll do exactly the same on this side. I'm going to fold this edge up to meet that line that we drew. Give it a finger press. Now if you're looking into a wool mat, I am going to say, people say that they smell, and I'm just confirming, yes, it does smell. It's got a really funny smell to it that just doesn't seem to go away. It's not absolutely awful that I don't want to use it, but there is definitely an odor to it. Okay, I might just give that one more press, and then I'll do exactly the same for the second piece. Okay, let's clip those together and sew. Now we're going to take our 2 pieces and face them together with the folds facing each other, and we're going to line up this top edge here and then line up the 2 sides as well. making sure that's sitting really nicely, and then we'll just clip down one side, and I'll just come along, make sure it's all sitting nicely, all lined up, and then clip. I'm not using pins because there's so many layers to get through, it all just starts looking a bit warped and wobbly. I do find the clips easier for this project. And as I come down, I'm just making sure those folds are sitting really nicely. Okay, now we'll sew down that first side that we've clipped. So now we're going to sew down one side, and I will do a back stitch. Now I'm using my left compensating foot, which is a foot that you can get if you've got a Juki TL sewing machine. I'll put a link down below. If you don't have a Juki or this foot, just stitch at about a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to go forward a few stitches, and then I will do a back stitch, and I'm stitching at about stitch length 3 because I think it looks nice when it's a bit longer. It looks a bit more decorative, even though it is holding our two pieces together. It's also going to look like a top stitch. Now my left compensating foot, it's got a ledge here, and it just means I can butt this up against it, and I just get a really nice even stitch. And then when I come to the end, I'll do a back stitch again, come off the edge, cut my thread, and then all I'm going to do is turn it around and do exactly the same on the other side. Now let's just tidy up these edges. I just want to trim all the loose threads, and if the edges are looking a bit wonky here, you could just give it a little bit of a trim just so it looks tidy. And then what I like to do is just take a bit of Mod Podge or sort of any glue you've got, like a PVA glue, just something, or even a fray stop glue, just to put along this top edge here to stop it fraying. And also you can use it to just push down any loose threads you might still have, although we just cut them, so you shouldn't have loose threads. And this is optional. I do find it just has a nicer finish, and you don't sort of see loose bits of fabric kind of fraying or anything. And then I'll do exactly the same to the other edge. I mean, fray stop would be perfect for this, but I just don't have any, and this Mod Podge also works perfectly fine. Okay. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take the two ends and line them up. Now, if you've got directional fabric, or perhaps you've used a print that looks particularly nice on one side, you could work that out now. I think with mine, maybe that pattern's lined up a little bit better on that side, so I'm just going to turn it around. And then you might also want to decide which side now looks the best. And again, they're both about the same for me. So I'm going to line up these edges here. So I will just clip those in place so it doesn't move when I'm attaching my hardware. Making sure those edges are lined up nicely. And then I've got my hardware here and my pliers. Now this was a kit I got on Amazon. I'll put a link down below. For the hardware, there's a good side, which is nice and smooth, and then the back side, which has the two little holes, and then inside you can see there actually the claws that will clip into the fabric. So making sure that I'm attaching it to the right side, so I've got the good side facing me and the side I wanted for my front. I will just take my pliers and pop them in. I'm just applying a little bit of pressure so that they'll sit in the pliers. I'm not going to clamp down on them. And the pliers have like rubber on them so that they're not going to scratch the hardware. Then I'm going to, now this is a little bit fiddly, so just take your time. I'm just going to take this edge, pop it inside, making sure that those claws are going to clamp down on the fabric, doing the best I can to make sure it's all sitting straight. And then what we're going to do is press down on the clamp when we're comfortable that it's as straight as you can get it. So then I'll press it as hard as I can so it's nice and secure. And then you can see on the back, there we have our little keychain. Isn't that cute? And oh my goodness, so quick to make. So there we have our fabric key fob wristlet. I think it's super handy and cute. You can hold your keys hands free. I can see them being really useful and great gifts. Now, 2 notes. I use quilting cotton for mine because I wanted to use up some scrap fabric. You could also use canvas, vinyl, or even faux leather. And then you wouldn't need to worry about the interfacing. We just use the interfacing to make our quilting fabric a little bit stronger. Now, I know people are going to say, well, you only use one fabric, so why didn't we just fold it all in and you'd only need to sew along one side? And the honest truth is because I'm OCD and I like both my sides to look exactly the same, so that's why I did it that way. It's also so you could use different fabric on the lining if you do it this way. So thanks so much. If you've liked this video, hit the like button and I'll see you in the next video.